It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome in another edition of Musso at the Box, presented by Gotlit Light Installers. Glad to have you along for the ride. LSU, again, they're coming off of the series loss at Texas A&M, set to begin another pivotal week, a midweek game against Grambling and 3 games against Arkansas to close out the home regular season at the box. LSU has a chance to have a very successful and a very profitable week when you look at their tournament resume. In order to do that, though, LSU's offense is going to have to improve. And that is what the bulk of today's show will focus on. I think there is a fix to this LSU offense, and I think it's a rather obvious fix because the sample of it throughout this season is overwhelming and really hard to ignore. I've crunched a lot of numbers, and we will get into that, dealing with 3 players in particular and their position in the lineup. So I'm actually really excited to have that conversation, knowing full well that what I say here is just an opinion, and it probably won't change it definitely won't change anything they're doing over in the building and whatnot. But I'm here to lay out what I've found because I think it is overwhelming. I do have thoughts on LSU Grambling, not many, and the thoughts that I have are not really probably in the vein that you're thinking, but we'll get you a brief thought on that game to wrap up the show as well. So please smash the like button if you have not already. Get subscribed on the YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast app if you have not already. That way you can take the show with you wherever you go. Follow me on social media, Twitter, X, Musso Matthew. Of course, you can find me on Instagram and on Facebook as well. And let's go ahead and get started. Since LSU went to the Plains to face Auburn, it has been a struggle offensively. LSU entered the Auburn series with a team batting average of .328. That has dropped 22 points from then to now. So from game 1 of Auburn through game 3 at Texas A&M, overall, LSU's team batting average has dropped 22 points from .328 to .306. That's heavy. And look, you expect, LSU's not going to hit .330 all year long, okay? That's just very rare that happens. You're going to face some elite competition, and that's going to come down. But the problem is you've just really kind of been on a steady decrease. We've talked here plenty about LSU against starting pitching. Just last week, we did a whole segment on LSU against SEC starting arms. Well, I went ahead and added A&M into that. LSU hit .217 off of A&M starting pitching and scored all 7 of their runs in the series off of the Aggies. So that's off the Aggie starters. So that's where I look at the starting pitching and I go, okay, that doesn't always tell the whole story. Because I look at that and I go, okay, the .217 average, that's not great. But getting 7 earned runs off of starters, that's actually pretty good. The problem is you scored 7 runs in the series. You got nothing off the bullpen. So starting pitching doesn't always tell the whole story. One thing that's certain, though, is this LSU offense is struggling. And what you've seen Jay Johnson do is shuffle the lineup. And look, I know we can all get irritated with the lineup changes. I do as well. Like, there are some that I just don't agree with. We talked after Saturday's game 2 about, them putting John Pearson in the starting lineup and Cade Arambidi in there. And look, maybe Ianson favors Arambidi behind the plate. That's something we've talked about plenty this year as well, especially earlier in the season. And I thought Arambidi caught great, but the bat just isn't to that point. And Jay's wanting to get right-handed guys in the lineup against the lefty starter. You had one lefty in the lineup in game number 2. It was Derek Curiel. And we talked about that in the moment. But in that spot, with your offense struggling to put inexperienced bats in the lineup, like John Pearson, like Cade Arambidi, that's just not something that I can really get behind. The pinch hitting Luis Hernandez in game number 3 after he had driven in 3 out of your 4 runs. Look, I don't agree with that decision, but I can tell you what Jay's going to say. He's going to say, well, Moss is just really tough on righties. It's a sidearm delivery. It's better to have a left-handed hitter in there. Okay, that's what he believes. Fine. I think it's better to leave the guy who's pacing your offense in the game, no matter who's on the, at the plate. I've told y'all this plenty. I am not as beholden to lefty righty, and I don't have all the splits in front of me, and I understand. But what I believe is that good hitters hit. I think Luis Hernandez is a really good hitter. I think he's a really experienced hitter. I think he has come up with huge moments for you throughout this season. And right now, he's like your third leading hitter in conference play, third or fourth leading hitter in conference play. He is your fourth at 274. I want that guy in there all the time. So I look at that and I go, yeah, the lineup changes aren't great overall. Now, there are some that I like. I like moving Stephen Milam down to the 8-hole. He started the season in the 8-hole, and while it was a bit of a struggle for him there, once he started to break out of it, it happened in the 8-hole, and then you moved him up, and he's hit 5-hole for you the majority of the year. He's struggling now again, moving back down to the 8. I like that. Stephen Milam had a hit in each game against Texas A&M. That's actually one of the positives I can take away from this weekend. He got his batting average back over the Mendoza line in conference play. Small victory, but Stephen Milam hitting below the Mendoza line in conference play is not a place you want to be. So of him getting back over that, let's see if he can build on that now. But the one thing I can't get behind, and this is where I look at this and I go, okay, how do you fix what's happening for LSU's offense? The one change that they have made that I cannot get behind is what they've done at the top of the order. And this goes past Derek Curiel just being your leadoff guy. First of all, yes, Derek Curiel needs to be your leadoff guy. Whether it's a lefty on the mound, a righty on the mound, whether the pitcher's throwing with his foot, I don't care. Derek Curiel is the best hitter on LSU's team. He is better than everyone else. And he is a true freshman, and the numbers bear that out. Did he have a rough weekend against Texas A&M? Yeah, he did. He had one hit. But he has been the most consistent player for you all year. As a true freshman, he reached base in the first 43 games of the season. He took a nine consecutive plate appearance reached base streak into that A&M series. That guy needs to lead off for you at all times. And I'm going to focus on the top of the order specifically. And again, it's not just Curry on the leadoff spot, but yes, he needs to be there. I don't need to see Jared Jones in the leadoff spot. That's just not, he's not Dylan Cruz, okay? To me, that is not a recipe for success. LSU, the first step, let me be clear, the first step to getting this offense back on track is to go back to the top of the order that has been the best top of the order for you. And that is, in this order, Derek Curiel, Jared Jones, Daniel Dickinson. First of all, those are 3 out of your 4 leading hitters on the season. Curiel and Dickinson are 2 out of your top 3 leading hitters just in conference play. We know why Curiel works so well in the leadoff spot. He has shown the ability to get you on the board with one swing out of the leadoff spot against non-conference and conference opponents. He can definitely get himself into scoring position out of the leadoff spot immediately. He leads the team in doubles, leads the team in walks. We know what the on-base percentage is like. Hits from the left side, great speed, works, counts. It's easy why Derek Curiel is great in the leadoff spot. Jared Jones in the 2-hole makes a lot of sense. Why? Because, well, first and foremost, a lot of the time, Curiel's in scoring position right off the bat for Jared Jones to come up and try to drive him in. Getting Jones in the 2-hole guarantees him an extra at bat. Jared Jones is the one guy in your lineup that can consistently change the scoreboard with one swing. Getting him as many at bats as possible makes a lot of sense. And in order for teams to have to pitch to Jared Jones, you need great protection. And Daniel Dickinson has been the best protector of Jared Jones all season. It started in that weekend in Frisco. And time again, he has proven that when teams want to pitch around Jones, he has made them pay. Those three fit so well at the top of the order. And I told you, I went and crunched a lot of numbers. And I consolidated it to where it will be easiest to understand, because I know sometimes numbers, when you can't look at them, they're hard to comprehend and it doesn't play well. LSU has run out a top three in the order of Derek Coryell, Jared Jones, Daniel Dickinson in 28 games this season. Okay, 28 games. I will tell it started with the Kansas State game in Frisco and went all the way to the third game of the Auburn series. In that third game against Auburn, that's when they changed the top of the lineup. So from Kansas State back in February all the way to Auburn, which was what, mid-April? Or the beginning of April? 28 games. LSU averaged better than a run per game in the first inning. They averaged 8.8 runs per game overall in those 28. The combination of Coryell, Jones, Dickinson hit 340 in those 28 games, and LSU went 24-4. And I know, I can already hear y'all. Yeah, but how much of that was padded by the non-conference teams? I mean, you're counting games against Xavier and North Alabama. What about just the SEC? Well, one step ahead of you. I crunched those numbers too, and let me tell you, pretty overwhelming. So in that 28-game stretch, LSU ran out Derek Coryell, Jared Jones, Daniel Dickinson in 15 SEC games. So half your league schedule. And in those, your runs per first inning went down. You were less than a run per game in the first inning, but you averaged 6.6 runs per game. The combination of Coryell, Jones, Dickinson hit 286 against only SEC teams, which, yes, is good. I know everybody wants it to be astronomical. 286 for those three guys against SEC pitching is very good. One of their best weekends was actually Texas and Oklahoma. And you went 11-4. 11-4 in those 15 games. The last time LSU has run out that top of the order, Coryell, Jones, Dickinson, in that order, 1, 2, 3, was the Friday game against Tennessee. Since then, you've played 6 games. And you were averaging 2 runs less than you did in those previous 28 at 6.1. And you were 3-3 in your last 6. Against just the SEC, you were still averaging 2 runs less than when you did with those 3 guys at the top of your order, and you were 2-3 in the last 5 SEC games since that first one against Tennessee when you ran that order out there. Y'all, I know it's not an easy fix, right? Because the guys have to go out there and execute. But I'll be damned if I don't look at those numbers on a pretty large sample size, which is exactly half your season. 56 regular season games. 28 of those is exactly half your season. You rolled with that, and you lost 4 games. And off of a bad weekend against Auburn, you switched it. And you've gone back to it one more time in that order. Now, they've put those top three in the order at a certain point. You did against Alabama. It wasn't in that order, but it was those three. And you won that series 2 out of 3. So it has to start there for me. You have something that works. Don't go away from it. And you want a perfect example of this? Look at the team you just played. Look at Texas A&M. In all 3 of those games, Texas A&M ran out Jace Laviolette, Wyatt Hensler, Caden Sorrell. 1, 2, 3. Before the 8th inning on Sunday, those guys were 3 for 31 with 16 strikeouts. That ain't good. Maybe you should change it up. Nope. They stuck with it. In the 8th inning, they were finally rewarded. And the guys who got you to that point, specifically Laviolette and Caden Sorrell, come through for you, and you win the game. That is the approach I would like to see LSU take with Coryell, Jones, Dickinson. So why does it work so well? Because you can look at that and go, man, you think those guys put immediate pressure on an opposing offense, on an opposing pitcher and defense, and you can get more in the first inning, yet the runs per first inning in those games actually isn't that high. It's not about that. It's about the second time through the lineup with those guys. And don't get me wrong, look, LSU's had plenty of success in the first inning this year. But it's about the second trip, and namely the bottom of your order. LSU has a good offense this year. Let's not twist it. LSU's offense is good. They are not good right now. And that's what you're trying to fix. That's what you're trying to tackle. When LSU's offense has been going at its best, the bottom of the lineup has flipped it over for those 3 guys. How many times this year have we sat here, whether it's in the week, during the week, or after a game, post-game, and talked about the success of the bottom of the lineup? Hell, look at Sunday. Sunday, the bottom of your lineup drove in runs. They drove in 3 out of your 4 runs. I'm sorry, that's not true. They drove in all 4 runs. I forgot about Milam's RBI double. Those guys are still on base. You flip back to the top of the lineup. You don't have it organized or situated correctly, and they get stranded. When LSU's offense has been going great, the bottom of your order, and Hernandez has been a huge part of that. Michael Braswell has been a huge part of that. Chris Stanfield has obviously been a huge part of that. They've been getting on base tremendously. Chris Stanfield has an on-base percentage of .433 this year. Luis Hernandez is .338. Michael Braswell is .361. Hernandez, admittedly, has been more of the drive him in type guy for you there towards the bottom of the order. But when they're on and you flip it to the top and you have those 3 guys, you talk about the pressure. It just makes it really, really hard to pitch. Because Coryell can hit a double at any time, or at this point, he can take you deep. You have to pitch to him because you got Jared Jones behind him who's going to really change the scoreboard. And if you don't want to pitch to Jones, you got to pitch to Dickinson. I think LSU absolutely panicked and went away from what has worked for them all year. That's what I do. That's what I think. So chief among things to help you fix LSU's offense is put those guys back at the top of the order in that order. And if you don't want to do it in that order, fine. Just get those 3 guys back 1, 2, 3. I don't need to see Josh Pearson hit behind Jared Jones. I just don't. I think Josh Pearson's a great player. He has come up with massive moments for LSU throughout his career. He has a role on this team. But my whole point with LSU's offense and these lineup changes, like John Pearson going in there, like Cade Aaron-Beatty going in there, my whole point with this, and this has been a couple weeks, you can go back and listen to a lot of different shows and find me saying this. You know who your guys are. Stick with them. Use them. You know where a lot of them function best in the lineup. Keep them there. You can look at the runs per game. You can argue all that. What you cannot argue with is 24-4 and 11-4 in the league. That is half your league schedule and half your overall schedule. And in all, you lost 4 games. 4. In your last 6, you've lost 3 without that being the top of your lineup. I don't know if that fixes all your problems. I don't know if that is a quick, easy fix. To me, it's an obvious fix, and it's the first step in getting you back on track. So I'm going to tell you right now, you better come to the ballpark this weekend against Arkansas ready to score some runs, because that's the best offense in the SEC. And I like your pitching a lot, and I think there'll be a hella good test for Arkansas's offense, but that's the best offense in the SEC statistically. And your field can play big, it can play small on any given day, and you better be ready to match them, because you got to win the series at home against Arkansas. Would be massive for you and your postseason hosting and top 8 chances. I think LSU's going to host, but top 8 chances. Step 1 for me: Curiel, Jones, Dickinson. In that order. All right. Let me remind you about Got Lit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. Permanent outdoor landscape lighting. It's not just Christmas lights anymore, but you still have the same great service. You need to illuminate your outdoor landscape, whether it's your front yard with the flower beds, maybe the trees in your front yard, or your backyard, pool area, patio, outdoor kitchen. Got Lit Lights has you covered. They're your one-stop shop for all exterior lighting now. Custom design, you get the quote, you turn in your design with the quote, they make it reality. Maintain the lights, they'll take them out and store them, tear them down, anything you need. Got Lit Light Installers, they have you covered. They want to make you a customer for life. It's about relationship building. Anybody can just install lights on the outside of your home. Got Lit Lights wants to go the extra mile. So work with Derek and his team. Graduation time is here. You're throwing a party for your grad, temporary outdoor lighting for your private event at Got Lit. Custom design, cut to fit, install, maintenance, tear down. Got Lit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. Tell them you heard it right here on Musso at the Box. Okay, LSU's going to play Grambling, maybe, Tuesday night at the Box. I say maybe because you check the forecast. It's horrible once again. While I'm recording this, let me refresh the inbox and see if there's any update on the game, time, or anything like that. There is not at the time of this recording. So here's what I'm going to tell you. You could move this game up. You could, if it works for Grambling. They have to come down, obviously, by bus, school day, it's finals week, all those kinds of things. Also, finals week with LSU. Like, you have to match up a lot of things. So moving the game up might not actually be in the cards. I don't know all the logistics. I'm just saying. What I do know is there's like a 70% chance of rain from 6 o'clock on into the evening. And I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to say something that I never say. I think LSU should cancel this game against Grambling. Because here's why. It does you no good to play it. From a resume standpoint. Grambling's RPI is 278th in the nation. You play them, your strength of schedule goes down. You just got your strength of schedule into the top 30. Playing them puts you back outside of that. Like, you could play this game, win it, and your RPI could actually decrease. Now, it's the conversation we always have with midweek games. You go take care of business against Arkansas, a top 4 RPI team. Fine, whatever. It goes right back up. But having this game on your strength of schedule is more what I'm worried about, because some of the teams that you're competing against in the SEC for top 8 national seeds, like Auburn's strength of schedule is second in the country. Like Vanderbilt, there's his third. Georgia, there's his 6th. Yours is 27. And having Grambling on that does no good for you. It just doesn't. You won this game 27-2 a year ago. I'm not worried about you winning it. You're going to win it. And the only reason, let me be perfectly clear, the only reason I'm even suggesting this is because of the weather. If there was no weather in the forecast, I'd say go play it. Even knowing all the things that I know about what it would do to your resume, even stating all of those things that I just did, I would say go play it. Why? Because I think it's really crappy for teams to cancel short notice on teams like that solely for RPI. But because there's weather in the forecast and you actually have an excuse, because here's the deal. There is no reason to start this game until you know you have a window, and you're probably not going to have a window Tuesday night. And I also don't need you playing until 1 a.m. in the morning on a Tuesday when you have Arkansas coming in. So solely because of the weather, I'm telling you, I think LSU should play the RPI game here and not play this game against Grambling. Unless you know for damn sure you have a window to play it. In that case, go ahead. But if you don't, you have a built-in excuse to help your resume on Tuesday. And you've seen teams do this with far less class than LSU could handle it with. This is not a stance I normally take, but it's one I have here given the forecast. Now, if LSU does play the game, which I expect them to make every attempt to, considering they haven't made a decision on it yet, LSU will face a team in Grambling that is 21-23 overall. They have done quite well in the SWAC. This was a tournament team a year ago. They're hitting 285, but on the mound, it's been a chore. 9.09 ERA. More strikeouts than inning pitch. The opponent hits 313. All those things. And it's one that LSU should be able to go out there and name their score. That would be the only other reason I want you to play it, is go get the offense back out there. Go get your team back out there after a heartbreaking loss. You could get William Schmidt back on the mound. You know, like there's benefits there. But what I'm not looking for is you to stop it, start it, stop it, and have to get back out there. I didn't go too hot last time in the midweek. You've had a lot of games impacted by weather, more than I can ever remember in one season. There's been 4 weekends all year where you have not had to move a game due to weather. 4. That's it. So if you're going to play it and get the benefit of getting your team back out there, trying to get the offense going, get guys back out on the mound, get back on track after a heart-wrenching loss, okay. But you better make sure you have a window to play it and play it without interruption. Because in doing so, by putting that game on your schedule and playing it, it goes into your strength of schedule, and your strength of schedule will drop. And the teams you're competing with, that top 8, theirs is not going to. We'll see what they do. If they play it, 6:30 is your scheduled first pitch. Forecast looks really rough, but we'll have some type of content around that game for you. Obviously on Musso with the Box, you know that, whether it's post game or anything of that nature. We'll see how it goes. LSU and Grambling set for Tuesday night at the Box. Okay, y'all, that's going to wrap it up here for today's edition of Musso at the Box. Gauntlet Light Installers, they bring it to you. Proud sponsor. Glad to be working with those guys as always. Please subscribe, smash the like button if you have not already as well, and be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.